Hi everybody, I just wanted to add this introduction to say that today's video is kind of a serious one, so as such it does not contain any knob gags, no jokes, no sillies, no funnies. It doesn't even have much commentary from myself. It's something I wanted to do on the channel today, so if it's not your cup of tea, that's absolutely fine. Come back tomorrow for your daily dose of Spammals. Otherwise, thank you for sticking around, and I hope you enjoy the experience. Hi everybody, my name is Spammals and today marks the 75th anniversary of the attacks on Pearl Harbor. Time and Life VR in partnership with HTC and AMD have come together to create this Remembering Pearl Harbor VR experience. It's been created with resources from the National World War II Museum, the Library of Congress, and it's also had historical advice from author and Pearl Harbor expert Glenn Nelson. Now, this looks to be a very tasteful and respectful VR experience. It's my every hope that this will help tell the story for the next generation. So, without any more stalling, let's begin. Wow. Remembering Pearl Harbor. Oh my god, already I am getting goosebumps.
My name is Jim Downing. I'm 103 years old plus. When the attack on Pearl Harbor occurred, on that morning I was postmaster of the ship. It was the battleship USS West Virginia, and I was 28 years old. The Japanese had sent a peace ambassador, and we thought, well, it'll be a while to see before anything happens.
December 8th, 1941, an American home. Christmas tree going down.
We had no idea whether there was going to be a return attack or not, and so we began to put together every defensive weapon we had in case they did return. On December 7th, there were 8 attacks, and the biggest one, airwise, is not Pearl Harbor. They used 500 planes at 3 in the afternoon to attack and destroy all of our air bases in the Philippines. One of 8 attacks that morning.
I'm British, okay, so I know only so much about Pearl Harbor, and that's one of the reasons why I'm kind of looking forward is the wrong word, but I'm curious of what I'm going to learn from this experience. I'm trying to move around this room a bit. Go over there, boink. Jump over to the chair. December the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. I didn't know where I am.
The Oklahoma that capsized lost 429 killed, and the Arizona over 1,100 killed. My strongest feeling was pride, because everybody was a hero. Everybody that survived instinctively did the right thing and helped others at the risk of their own life. I don't think I can describe the feeling almost, but what I went through was, first was surprise, and then there was fear. I was afraid the next plane that came in would aim better than the first one did. And then anger that our leadership, military and political, had let us get into that. So the first Japanese plane that I saw was flying low and slow. He was so close you could almost see the color of his eyes. Now the Japanese very wisely painted their planes olive drab, and they looked just like our own planes. It was not unusual to see army planes flying around on
Sunday mornings. So at this point I was thinking, this is one of ours, until he got above, and I could see the red circles under the wings. They did a great job of camouflaging their planes to look like ours.
December 7th, 1941, Pearl Harbor.
By the time I got on the ship, it had taken 9 torpedoes and was on fire and was sinking.
Wow. I'm speechless, everybody. Counted to the fact that I'm actually talking, but I have never been in such a richly detailed VR experience before. Oh my god. Okay, so what do I do? What do I do? I can go over there? Okay, we can jump around.
Each ship carries about 1 million gallons of oil, so the oil was about 2 feet deep on the surface of the water. The heat was so bad that the oil actually burned on the surface of the water. Pearl Harbor is a small harbor. We only have a few feet of water under us, so the ship was sitting down in the mud, and everything above the waterline was on fire.
Really don't know what to say. It's something you never want to happen. You'd hope never would happen. But it did happen.
We had anticipated that at some time we might get in a war with Japan, and if they dared to attack us, we'd wipe them out within 30 days. So we were very surprised at the efficiency. 360 planes. And naturally, we wanted to fight back. But my ship couldn't fight back, because all the electricity was knocked out and it was sitting down on the bottom.
Fuck, the bow. USS Tennessee. During the air raid, 2 bombs struck Tennessee, which was wedged in place by the neighboring USS West Virginia.
I'd been aboard the USS West Virginia about 9 years. I used to brag about living on my $42 million home, furnished by my rich uncle. So it was more than a ship to me. It was home. So I was devastated just seeing it on fire.
This is absolutely catastrophic. Just sat right here. The smoke coming behind the ship. It's madness. It is pure madness. Oh, I've been here. Where am I going? Hang on. I'm trying to navigate around. Okay, I believe we're done here, so I'm going to push on to the next scene. It's on this controller. Gonna tap to the right. Goodbye. Present day. Boop, boop, boop.
The
Boop, boop, boop.
raid was led by a Japanese officer named Matsuo Fushida. After the war, I met him, and I was signed up for a lot of money, so they wouldn't let me go from the crew. So we salvaged the ship and got it back in the war. So I still had my full-time duty as postmaster. We had a bigger crew. So I stayed in Oahu until 1943, when the ship was able to be brought back to the U.S. for Navy Yard overhaul.
Look at this boat! This is so detailed! It makes you wonder if they just scaled down the boat from the scene we just saw. Got married.
She came down the next day. I was covered with oil in my hair, and of course hadn't shaved. And she was glad to see me, even though I appeared the way I did. Now, she had to leave Christmas Day, so I did not see her again after Christmas Day until 18 months later in 1943.
A long time to go about seeing somebody.
Once the fire was out, there was nothing to do on the ship. So one of my friends had been burned, so I went to the hospital to see him and saw this bunch of people, probably 100, in suspension with their hair burned off. They were blind and badly burned, just being treated. So I didn't know who they were, but I took a notepad with me and went down the line for 2 or 3 hours and said, if you will give me your parents' address and dictate a short note, I'll see that they get it. So I spent my time for the afternoon just taking that dictation. And it was very surprising. I expected some complaints and sad stories. Nobody complained. Nobody criticized. They just told their parents, don't worry, I'll be all right. Most of them died that night. But I have letters back from some of the parents, and they didn't know what happened to their son until they got my letter. Didn't know whether they're alive or dead. So the letter they got that I sent back was the first word they had from their son.
Damaged battleships are repaired. The West Virginia, the Tennessee in the background. An immense amount of work is required and is provided. Other ships are salvaged and will steam forth to fight again. The Nevada, expert salvage to put that sea giant in action once more. And the West Virginia is being raised from the bottom of the shallow harbor. The saving of the battleships is like a miracle.
That's crazy. That's awesome. Following the attacks on December 7th, 1941, the US joined its allies in World War II and emerged victorious nearly 4 years later. By war's end, an estimated 60 million people had been killed, atomic weapons had been unleashed, the seeds of the Cold War had been planted, and the world would never be the same. Many years later, the Americans who had fought at home and abroad would come to be known as the Greatest Generation. Lieutenant James Downing continued to serve his country for many years after Pearl Harbor, retiring from the Navy in 1956. He now lives in Colorado Springs.
My name is Jim Downing, and I was aboard ship on December 7th, 1941, when the Japanese attacked. I never mentioned Pearl Harbor for 50 years after it's over, and that was almost my experience. Now, I think what happened, the generation that was in the war, they knew firsthand what it was like. They passed along to their descendants, but there's a generation emerging right now that have no personal contact. So they're grateful for the freedom. They want to thank somebody. Everybody was a hero. Everybody that survived instinctively did the right thing and helped others at the risk of their own life.
So the project we're doing right here is we'll be doing a virtual reality piece. Do you know what virtual reality is, or have you experienced it?
I have had it explained to me, yes. I grew up when you went to a movie, you had 3D glasses. So I've had a little experience with it.
Oh, that's adorable. Hi, welcome back. So I think this was worth our time. I really do. I think this did exactly what it needed to do. It was very tasteful. It could have gone full Hollywood and shown us explosions left, right, and centre, and we could be on the boats attacking back, shooting down, getting full like Medal of Honor. But that wasn't necessary, and I'm glad they didn't pick that path. What we saw, the aftermath and the fire, that was enough. And having that narration from his own experience and what he did, it was moving. I was welling up behind this. You didn't see, but it was really touching me. And I think there's something that's been lost between the generations. You look back at what everyone was capable of back in the day, back in World War II. Think how young they were and how courageous they were. I'm 30 years old now, and I don't even know how to wire a plug socket, let alone go to war. So I'm very thankful for everything that everyone did during the war to create the world that we now live in, to the point of where my biggest concern is if I have internet connection. Like, oh, the world's terrible, I can't get onto Facebook to tell my friends I found a kitten picture, you know. I was very happy with this. I recommend you check this out. It costs money, it's not free, but I dare argue that it's for a good cause. I don't know where the money goes. I would imagine this would probably go in some parts towards some sort of funds. But very well done. Very respectfully done. Well done for not taking the low road, but for going the high. And on that bombshell, leave me your thoughts and opinions down below. Give me a thumb up if you enjoyed this. And until next time, thank you for watching. Rate, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye, everybody.